What's up, guys? Tonight, AEW Dynamite. Rick and Morty showed up. We got new tag team champions. For Smark Week, I'm Chase, aka CM Junk.
And I'm Ethan, aka Bullet Club Halloween shirt guy. Costume I've been working on all year.
Dude, I dig it. Your costume looks great. I actually thought you were a member of the Bullet Club until just now when you said you were Ethan, so you're good on that.
Awesome, it's doing the job.
So, dude, first of all, we'll talk about the sort of elephant in the room. I know there were really mixed feelings about whether or not people enjoyed the quote unquote Rick and Morty crossover. Honestly, it was for one match, really. Some people kept their masks on, but for the most part, it was one match.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had Best Friends and Orange Cassidy come out as Rick and Morty as well. But to me, the icing on the cake is the actual voice, or Justin Roiland as Rick and Morty, doing ring announcing for them when they came out. I thought that was incredible. It's a really goofy thing, but for AEW, this sort of company that gives back to the fans, they're not afraid to kind of think outside of the box. I think this very much was that, and I'll be honest, dude, I laughed because they didn't start with it. It was their actual ring announcer announcing Best Friends, and then Morty just starts talking, and then Rick's like, "Yeah, make sure you don't hit your head in the ring. Oh, that would be bad." And I popped. I stood up in my chair. I threw my arms up like an actual pop in my office. It was incredible.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big Rick and Morty fan anyway. So to me, when I first saw the announcement on Twitter and it was the image Rick and Morty is all elite, I was just like, I don't. It's my two favorite things in life, and I don't know what to do. Like, uh, and I agree with what you said because I like how they kind of incorporated it. They didn't overdo it necessarily. And I mean, if the worst thing that happened was the turnbuckles and the ring posts are Rick and Morty, then who cares? It's your Halloween episode, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I loved JR saying "wubba lubba dub dub" made my
Dude, he was so bad at it too. Excalibur was like, "Hey, will you say this for me?" And he's like, "Wubba lubba dub dub."
it was so good. I hope Excalibur was like, this means that tells them what it stands for. Like I'm in great pain and suffering or whatever. No, I like that, and I like when Excalibur was talking about cross promotion for the between TNT and whatchamacall, whatever,
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I was a big fan though.
I thought it was a great touch. If they had done it the whole night, I think it would have wore thin. But they picked a good spot. They did it for a match that wasn't going to be overly serious anyway because it had Orange freaking Cassidy in it. But I thought it was a nice touch.
Orange Cassidy, QT Marshall, and the two Long John Silver or whatever his name is.
Yeah, dude. The whole time, and I don't want to focus too much on this since we're gonna come back around to it. The whole time, his name, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was definitely Silver. And I just kept thinking, oh, they put the good dude from the Dark Order in another tag team. Like, all right, cool, man. But that was really my only opinion on that. They were clearly there to lose. Again, perfect match because we don't want to spend too much time as Rick and Morty. But it was a nice, fun little moment. It definitely screamed Halloween, and also it was a nice cross promotion. But hopefully that means that we get the Nick and Maddie shirts back, and then who knows, dude? Maybe some AEW promotion in an episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
at least commercials on Cartoon Network, dude. Let's make that happen.
Absolutely, I agree.
Cool, and then of course the other headline of the night, we have inaugural, not just new, but first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. Dude, I did not see this coming. I even held a poll, I don't know if you saw, on our Twitter, saying, hey, who do you guys think that is going to win this? And every single person, dude.
I did see. I voted on that poll.
Dude, everyone said Lucha Bros. Every single person said Lucha Bros. And I don't blame them.
Yep.
That is the logical answer. but I think that they did it right with just doing the roll up win. Like SCU looked surprised that they won.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them look bad. It doesn't make Pentagon and Phoenix look bad. It was like we got the better of you tonight.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited to see where that goes because I don't think that feud is done. Pentagon and Phoenix have been way too aggressive with it. I don't think they're just going to give up after losing in the tournament finals.
I agree. And I think the clear favorite was Lucha Bros, and not only that, but they kind of dominated the match. Not to say that SCU didn't get a lot of you know good work in, good offense in, but Lucha Bros definitely it's kind of just a matter of time, before they have those belts. So I'm okay with them not putting them on them right away.
Definitely.
Maybe even possibly due to the fact that there's some booking things that they've got figured out why they want to go with technically face champions to start off. Maybe that opens things up a little bit more for them than having heel champions. So maybe they don't feel as strong about their face teams right now. Maybe they're not ready to have Private Party arguably be the top face team aside from the Young Bucks. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes, but I definitely again I trust them. They haven't done done anything wrong thus far. So I trust in them to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Um, I I think it was a good call, and one thing I think they did really well is if SCU has to win the tag titles, Scorpio Sky got the pinfall. I really like that because he's on his way up. Every single match they put him over, and I mean, shit. Even if they didn't, he's putting himself over.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way to go is having him get the pinfall, even if it is just a quick roll up. It shows that he is capable of beating these dudes who are world renowned as a tag team. I mean singles wrestlers too, but as a tag team even more so. I think. So I was really stoked about that. But I had like my hands at the side of my head. I was just like, what just happened? Because I would have bet money on it. I would have straight up put probably $100-$200 on Lucha Bros winning this match, and I'm fucking glad I didn't.
Yeah, I thought they were for sure gonna take it, but that's part of it, man. You sometimes something unexpected happens. That's the key to keeping watching each week. If it's the same predictable thing, say we were right about the Lucha Bros winning, cool. Say next week we're right about so and so winning. Oh man, if we're starting to be right, 3 shows, 4 shows in a row, we're kind of doing their booking for them.
Yeah.
Not as fun. We know another company that does that. So
Yeah. Well, the other company does everything we don't want, so I still think maybe it would be a one up, but yeah, I agree. I do like that they keep you guessing in some aspects. I really like that. To the point that I gotta be honest, I don't know who's gonna win between Cody and Jericho because I could see next opponents for both of them, and I like that. I like that. I don't have any idea. I mean, I have a guess, and we're gonna do our predictions video soon, so you guys will get to hear our guesses, but I honestly don't know. But cool. Before we get into the rundown of the full show, I do want to let you guys know if you like what you see, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We are working our way to 100 subscribers so that we can get our custom link and get rid of that ugly thing that's just a bunch of random letters and numbers. We want it to be youtube.com/smarkweek. How good would that be? Help us get there. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you like it, hit that thumbs up as well. Let us know. And then in the comments below, let us know what you thought of the show, what you liked and what you didn't like. Let's talk about that as well. Cool. So let's go ahead and get started, dude. We started off with a nice little I mean, it was like a video package of sorts, but they gave you the impression that it was live, whether it was or not. But it's Tony Schiavone or Schiavone. Schiavone, is that what he said? Jericho?
Schiavone. Yeah.
Good old Schiavone waiting outside of a plane. Cody and his brother Dustin get off the plane. They said they've got somewhere to be, and they head to the contract signing. A lot of bias coming out of Tony Schiavone here.
I agree, and also I didn't know West Virginia had airports. So that was like So I learned that
Yeah,
today.
I thought they just had the wild and crazy whites and that was it. Like just a bunch of people who did meth and had sex with their own family members. And then
I, that's all I've ever been raised to believe. So
yeah, it's on TV. Why wouldn't it be true? But apparently they also do pretty decent pro wrestling there. So hey, good for them. Proud of them. But yeah, man. So we get the nice video package for that. Um, they hop in the limo. They get to talking a little bit. Cody and Tony reminisce on a story about Dusty, which was it was a nice touch. But again,
yeah,
it makes him seem like he is very biased as a commentator. I actually tweeted out like if I was I Am Jericho, I'd be pissed about how biased Tony is. And later on the night, of course, he talks shit to Tony. So maybe that's the sort of him taking jabs at that. But a nice little segment to open the show. Nothing too exciting. Next up, we do get Hangman Page versus Sammy Guevara to open the show. Dude, Sammy came out to a mass of boos. If there is one thing I can say for Inner Circle and what they are doing in AEW, they are all getting huge heel heat. And I
yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
Man. Sammy also gets some nice Sammy Sucks chants going during the match. Probably my favorite part of this match is that Hangman let Sammy show off how absolutely agile he is. We've gotten some of this in previous matches with Sammy Guevara. We got some of it against Cody. But like Sammy doing complete backflips over Adam Page as he's running the ropes is just really impressive. A lot of him doing like the slides the first time Hangman went for the buckshot lariat, and he like I don't even know what you would call it. It's basically like if you hit the dodge button in like a hack and slash video game where they like he did like
Yeah,
a spin, it got low and but slid all the way to the back of the ring. Um, all of it just looks impressive. I think this is 100% the way for Sam to get over. He needs to show off the things that he's good at, and what he's good at is the agile stuff. Keep doing the
absolutely.
flips. Keep showing that you're fast and you can move. Move the ropes the way only you can, and that's gonna do more for him than any promo can, than being under Jericho could. And I think he's definitely making the best of that, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I want to see him in a match with Darby. I mean, that would be like that's. I mean, I think a singles match. I guess I should say. I'm pretty sure they've been in a tag match at this point, um, but yeah, like I mean, I would agree with you what you say about Guevara. And one thing that I've noticed, just among the people that I have talked to about AEW, is that they really are. They really like Sammy Guevara. That's one of the people that they're like, who's the young, the young dude, the Spanish, and I'm like Sammy Guevara. He's definitely getting for the reaction that Darby's getting on the face side of things, if you will. Sammy's getting that on the heel side. I feel like, and that's like we talk about, like we've been talking about. It's you're seeing these people develop in front of you,
Yeah,
and that's crazy. Like they're already getting these reactions. Whereas at All In, or if you want to go to All In or wherever the first shows, where they first started coming over into the company, people didn't know who they were. It
yeah,
wasn't that they weren't booing or cheering, not really because they didn't want to. It was just, I'm waiting to see what you've got. Now, as an audience, we're starting to see each and every night these people go out there and consistently. That's the key, is they're consistently putting on high quality matches,
yeah,
and you can't just like say what you will, but if you're consistently performing at a high level, you're start to get that following.
yeah. And not only that, like he's definitely doing a good job performing at a high level. But AEW is also doing such a good job of telling their audience, "Hey, here are the people that we're pushing." For
Absolutely.
both sides, for heel and face. I know they said they don't do that as much, but at least for right now, clearly Jericho's faction is a heel faction. But we are consistently seeing Sammy Guevara. We're seeing Jericho. We're seeing the former LAX. We're seeing Hager minus last week because obviously he had MMA stuff going on, so he's not going to be there. Um, but we're getting those faces on a normal basis. That way, they are becoming more household names. Even if it
Yeah.
is just with the AEW crowd. Like it's going to keep growing. They're going to keep building. They're going to keep getting more and more recognizable. And they are getting heel heat now. They're getting Sammy sucks chance. They're getting insane amounts of boos just when their music hits. Um,
I mean, you heard Randy Orton's drunken rant, right, where he put Guevara over. I
yeah,
mean, just
dude,
saying,
I love
you know.
how much Orton is teasing like how much he loves AEW. The tease of like where he was pointing to the elite on the door and
Yeah.
tagged a bunch of wrestlers who weren't happy in WWE, but also Jericho and Cody Rhodes. Um, Jericho, don't fuck with our emotions. Like, or sorry, Orton, don't fuck with our emotions. Like, just do it. I think there are some really good matches he could get in there, and then he could retire because he's not old, but he could retire early enough to where his body doesn't hurt. After he's
Yeah.
50 years old, but he can get in some really good, top-notch matches beforehand. With guys like Jericho, guys like Cody, guys like Kenny. Dude, Randy Orton versus Kenny Omega. Sign me up. I would love to see
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Randy Orton versus an unrestricted John Moxley. Would love to
Yeah.
see that. But yeah, that's just a nice little side rant there. Dude, fantasy booking. We need to look into some fantasy booking episodes too, man. Because
Yeah.
damn, if that ain't a rabbit hole that we could go down.
Be a
um,
long episode.
that's fine. I mean, we could even just pick a topic and just fantasy book. Each of us fantasy book that topic just off the top of our heads.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So in the end, Hangman Page does get the win there. I don't think that's any surprise, but Guevara still looks great coming out of it. It also makes Page look good going into his rematch with Pac at Full Gear. Very excited about that match, dude. At the end, he does say that he's gonna go to Full Gear and do some cowboy shit, and that gets a huge pop from the crowd. They start chanting cowboy shit, and I really hope we get a cowboy shit shirt because I'll buy it. Thank you, Adam Page, for that in advance. Dude, next up, really enjoyed this, and we actually talked about it a little bit while it was happening. We get a women's match, Shanna versus Hikaru Shida.
Hmm.
So first of all, Shida is she is by far my favorite women's wrestler in AEW. I like her ring attire. I like her wrestling style. I even like what I've learned about her outside of the ring. I like the fact that she is a performer. She's an actress and a singer. Me having gone to college for musical theater myself, like that resonates with me. But she's also a big gamer. I like all of that. I think she is very good at showing you what her personality is outside of the ring. And I think that's going to help her connect with fans. Um,
I agree.
Another thing that I want to throw out before we get into the actual match, and I'm sure it wasn't meant this way, but there's just something odd about an old white male saying to someone who's not from here, "Welcome to America." Like it sounded like almost like a backhanded compliment, and I was just like, "Jr. No." Like again, I'm sure he didn't mean it that way, but the way he said it, if you go back and listen to it, in my opinion, it's kind of like it almost seems like accidental racism. Um, and I was just
I
like,
could see
dude,
that. Yeah.
do better. Like, don't be like that. Um,
Yeah, I could. It's still a step up from when he was talking when Shima and they were wrestling. He's like, and then the Orientals, and I was like,
oh
whoa,
no!
I don't
When you
can't no, you
when you
know,
start sweating because of something someone
yeah,
else says, you're just like,
yeah. You're like, "Ugh."
maybe we don't record this episode. Yeah, we just skip that whole thing.
So I think again, man. Now, because of the way this episode was set up, like we talked about, it wasn't really didn't necessarily feel like a full episode.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
but I think this again for the second straight week, I think the women might have had my favorite match because they're giving these women's matches so much time to breathe and they're not, we're so used to seeing these watered down just, WWE women's matches that are just so awful and so boring. Like even Becky Lynch's matches aren't that good. Sasha and Charlotte have put on some awesome matches. Alexa Bliss has had some good matches. But these are two people that are I've never even heard of basically, and I'm invested in their match. Now, was it the cleanest match? No, it was a little bit sloppy.
No.
There were some uh you know close two counts or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I can't think. My brain's fried, but there were a couple of close finishes where there were kickouts that felt a little sloppy, or there
Yeah.
were some things here and there that felt a little sloppy. But at the same time, the match overall to me was very entertaining. This one is the one that I felt like kept my interest the duration of it. So again, it's the same thing, that we say, but it's really cool not only to see the women being put on the same platform, but also just seeing these people that are new talents being elevated. That was when I had that thought again during this particular match was they're developing people right before our eyes. We don't know where they'll go from here, but I can tell you that the second time I see, these women wrestle, I'm gonna already be bought into it just from one match they've had. I'm like, okay, I see y'all can wrestle.
Yeah.
So that's just a cool feeling to know that like you're you're actually watching the progression and it feels like you're seeing them get better and get more comfortable and that's just a really good feeling, I think.
Definitely. And what's nice is we saw this last week as well with Jamie Hayter, but Shanna, brand new to the company, it's the first time we've ever seen her. She leaves the match looking like, hey, I can wrestle. And that's a nice feeling. Like nobody gets squashed. Even the worst wrestlers in AEW put up fight. Dude, freaking Hybrid 2. They're 0-3 in tag team action, but they never just get annihilated. They still put in offense. They show, hey, I can wrestle. I'm just getting beat by these better teams. And nobody looks bad in defeat, really. They're definitely, I mean, I think Hybrid 2 is probably the best example because they probably look the worst in defeat because they keep getting defeated. But
Yeah.
no one defeat made them look like they are the worst tag team in the company. Same thing here. Shanna losing doesn't make her look like she's now the worst wrestler that they have in the women's division. She just lost her first match. And that's not a big deal because Hikaru Shida has wrestled multiple matches in AEW and she's won most of them. So that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, she was almost in the women's title match. Why would she
Yep.
not beat you your first time in? But they did a really good job of talking about where she's from, what she's about, and they put her over. Commentary again, as they've done week in and week out, putting over every single wrestler that comes in, doing such a good job of it, making sure that people know that hey, this person is a wrestler and they're a good wrestler. That's why they're here.
Yeah, and that's a big difference too is that with WWE when they have when it's going to be a squash match, and when they bring out this enhancement talent, there's no attempt, there's no effort to make them even seem like not to say formidable, but there's no effort to make them seem like anything other than just like a beanbag chair or just something that's going to get obliterated. There's no time spent on them, on the character. And I mean, I get it. A lot of them are local talents that just show up, for the payday at the big show. But still, for believable commentary's sake, should you not talk about both sides? I mean, it is a quote unquote combat sport, so it's refreshing to me to hear the time that they're putting into the talent. They're taking the time to, like you said, to give a backstory where they're from, and it makes me want to. It makes me in the best case scenario, it makes me want to see these people again. In the worst case scenario, if they do randomly show up, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, they've had some good matches. I mean, if the worst thing you can say about somebody is they've lost 4 or 5 matches, but they were pretty entertaining matches, then I think you're doing pretty well.
I agree. Yeah, and nobody is just gonna keep winning. Like that's not the point. They have to push
Yeah.
somebody. So there's also going to be a loser in every match. It's unavoidable. But I do like that the losers look like they could win other matches. Um, but so we get a really nice running knee strike there by Sheeta to get the finish on Shanna. Sheeta and Shanna. Yeah, sorry. That's just make sure I'm not mixing those names up because they are similar. But yeah, she gets a pin there. Of course, Hikaru Shida wins. Again, I think she's my favorite female wrestler, so stoked to see that. Almost immediately after, we get like the commercial break, but then we come back and we get a really weird video package for Brandy Rhodes with Awesome Kong in it. It starts off like she's just putting on makeup, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? I expected to like start get some monologuing or something going. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah.
like her and I don't know if this was just because it's Halloween or if they're gonna keep this going. But she like uh she's like putting on makeup and then her eye like glows green and then we
Yeah.
start getting flashes of Awesome Kong and Kong brings her like some blonde hair.
Brandy's doing at one point she's like reciting an incantation or
Yeah.
clearly reading a spell or something like that. Um I, I'm with you. I thought there was going to be some sort of dialogue or something to go along with this. Um I did see, so at the same time I was on Twitter, I saw not Sean Ross Sapp,
Talking about
but
Satin.
that's it.
Yeah.
I saw Satin say that about, she had mentioned wanting to do something horror or be in the midst of doing something horror related, and this may be the start of that. Um, I'm all for it. I mean, do what you got to do. The one thing I would say is that it's going to seem, if you're gonna do it, I want them to definitely lean into it and give it time to breathe and grow. Because if not,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel very just like jumpy. Like it's gonna feel very much like, well, she was just this valet. She was a manager. Now she's a witch. She's a spooky
Yeah.
witch. Now she's a
She's a
space
bad
woman.
guy.
Yeah.
She's
So
real evil and stuff. She made candles blow out. Nobody does that
exactly.
unless they're
If
evil.
if they want to give time, if they want to do like a full character development type thing, I'm all for it. Who
Yeah.
better than Brandy Rhodes? She's amazing at everything. She's beautiful. Um, she looks like I was got definite vibes from like The Craft when she was doing all the stuff. I'm like,
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's do it. I'm on board for whatever we want to try. So
Yeah, and I mean, plus she's got Awesome Kong as her muscle still. I think that's very important too. If she's gonna be a women's wrestler in this roster, I think it's important for her to have Awesome Kong because it instantly makes her credible, regardless of her actual wrestling ability. I know she does wrestle sometimes, but she doesn't wrestle a whole lot, so I think that rust builds up. But if you have Awesome Kong on your side, don't worry about the ring rust, girl. You're probably gonna win anyway. So I like that a lot. I'm curious to see where this goes. I actually really hope we get another vignette, not just a replay of this one on AEW Dark on Tuesday. But we'll see. Um, but up next, and I'm really glad to see him on a more regular basis. We get CVV, Chris Van Vliet, introducing the Rock and Roll Express. In order to, they are going to later on in the night present the tag team titles to whoever wins between SCU and the Lucha Bros. The only problem with that plan is that Santana and Ortiz come out and they very politely kick the crap out of the Rock and Roll Express.
yeah,
They beat them both down. They grab Ricky Morton. Shout out to our hometown boy. Ricky Morton is from Knoxville. He also trains a wrestler that you and I had the pleasure of meeting at a Ring of Honor event. Good old Luscious Lawrence. So shout out to him as well. But yeah, so Ricky Morton, dude, and props to these dudes because they are older guys, but they're still like going as hard as they can. They're still taking these crazy bumps. Ricky Morton takes a double power bomb through a part of the stage. I can't imagine that felt good, dude. But he took it like a champ.
That's what I told Heather was watching with me, and I was like, "This is." I pointed at them, and I was like, "This is when all you know is wrestling." Like this is when wrestling's your whole life. I mean, it's one of those things where it is what it is, man. I feel like it got the point across for what they were trying to do, and if they're willing to do that, then
Yeah.
by all means. But
And
it was ugh.
you know what else I liked about this? They are part of NWA Power. They actually were on yesterday's episode of Power, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. I
Seems
had a
right. I think
crazy
I saw some.
yesterday, with us adopting a new dog and whatnot. But I want to say I did see them on there. But if not, they're definitely a part of the show. And
Yeah,
so it's really cool to know that they're under a contract to NWA, but they can still make these appearances. I don't know what kind of contract they have, obviously, but I like the idea that they jump around because they've also, they did shows for Ring of Honor. They've done previous NWA shows in the past. They were in the NWA Tag Title Tournament. So I'm glad to see them making their rounds because these are legends who very much can still go, even though you can tell they're old. They're very old
yeah.
dudes. But the segment looked great because of them. Young Bucks come out, chase away Santana and Ortiz. They check on the Rock and Roll Express. I think this is a really nice way to not only hype the main event of our first ever tag team champions, but then of course you add extra hype behind Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz, aka the Inner Circle,
Yeah.
at Full Gear. Dude, I think that match might steal everything. I think that is going to be match of the night. Uh,
Could be.
both incredible tag teams. Last comment I have on this: I am sad about the results of the main event because I thought we were gonna get a rematch from Impact Homecoming, Lucha Bros versus LAX, and I was very stoked about that. One of the best tag matches I've ever seen, and I was fortunate enough to see it live with the rest of Smark Week, including Ethan. What a crazy match, dude. So I'm looking forward to the day when we do get that.
Oh yeah, it's coming. They're gonna build that up. That's gonna be there's just so many good possible matches. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, boy. Cannot wait. Um. But let's next up we get a another segment um with Tony and Cody. Actually, this is the one where they told the story of Dusty. So I jumped the gun a little bit earlier, but this is the one where they told the story of Dusty. Also talked about Willie Nelson. It was more like it wasn't really to get anything over. Was my only issue with it. It was more like, hey, look, Tony and Cody are buddies. Like, again, the theme of the night is Tony Schiavone is very biased in his commentator position. But wasn't a terribly long segment, so I don't know. I'll let it slide. At least it didn't take up a ton of time.
So that's true. You know what though? There was somebody else very near and dear to my heart that is very biased. Kind of in a storyline sense, I guess. Well, maybe not. Maybe real life too. And that is Don Callis with Kenny Omega, and
Oh,
I
true, true,
love
true, true, true.
every single bit. Like I ate that shit up
But
every
Don
time
Callis
that he
also
talked.
wasn't in any segments. There was no interview
That's
segments where he
true.
was
That's
there.
true.
He
Very
just
true.
he hyped it on commentary, and I mean he's sort
True.
of that was kind of his job. So I was okay with it.
It's very true. Um,
But if you're gonna
I'll agree.
interview and stuff, I don't know. I just want it to be more of a It's okay for it to be known hey, you guys are close because of Dusty. But as far as interviews and stuff go, let's make it an actual wrestling interview or let's make it a promo or something. But this didn't really achieve anything. It just took up a little bit of TV time.
I think one thing that could possibly come out of it, and maybe this is just me getting ahead of myself, but I think there's an inevitable heel turn again for Cody at some point, and this could technically be just more, more things to work with. If Tony Schiavone's still there, man, a heel turn where something involves Schiavone at this point, it's gonna feel pretty bad,
Yeah,
because they're
it's
built.
definitely going to come across as scummy. That's a good
So
point. And to your point, I also think if next week they do what they did to Dustin to Tony, if they beat up Tony,
Mhm.
then that segment makes more sense to me. But if
I
nothing comes of
I
it,
yep,
that's when it's a waste of time.
I agree. I agree.
Um, well, cool. Up next, we get the Rick and Morty match of the night. It is QT Marshall. His name is actually John Silver. I thought you were making a joke earlier. His name is
Oh,
actually
is it?
John Silver. Yes.
Uh,
Wow.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. What a name. No
Yeah.
pirate hats or anything on a Halloween episode. You missed
Seems
out.
like a
Yeah.
yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
What were you thinking? And then of course the other famous pirate, Alex Reynolds. You remember Alex Reynolds, the pirate? It was long John Silver and short Alex Reynolds. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So it is that trio of two jobbers and a guy that we just learned about yesterday
Mhm.
versus the best friends with Orange Cassidy. Of course, the highlight of this is the best friends in Orange Cassidy coming out dressed as a Morty and two Ricks. Orange Cassidy is very uninterested the entire time. That's his shtick. That's what he does. Um, but him being dressed as a Rick makes it that much better because Rick is also a person who is very uninterested in just about everything. Um, the ring announcing where Morty's like, "Hey, it's best friends. Yeah, we love best friends." And Rick's like, make sure you don't hit your head. That would be bad." Um, uh, the worst Rick and Morty impression in the world. I apologize.
It's not bad.
Just trying to
It's not
get
bad.
the point across. But overall, this was a goofy match. It didn't last long, but it did need to. It got the point across. And it was a nice, like, fun thing for the fans. Everybody had their Rick and Morty masks on. Um, I do like, and again, this is just as a Rick and Morty fan, I'm sure you probably agree with this, that there were a lot of different Rick masks in the crowd. You had a lot of the different kinds of Ricks as masks that they passed out.
Yeah, they did three different Ricks and a Morty. Uh I can't remember which ones now, but they were like Mad Max esque type
Yeah,
Morty.
like with
Yeah,
the mohawk and stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
So good.
Man, I dug it. I don't know. You can kind of like if you zoom in or if you look, I've got Rick and Morty was what started my collection.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Rick and Morty. I've got a can't see it here, but I got the Rick and Morty portal gun lamp. Anytime anybody buys me anything for any holiday or a gift or anything, they just give me something Rick and Morty because I'm gonna like it. Um, and I've made the joke a lot of times that if I was single, my whole everything would be Rick and Morty. I'd just be a huge Rick and Morty nerd. But
What a house
uh,
that would be, dude. It's just like you walk in, and you're
dude,
like, "Oh, I just remembered. I got something
yeah,
to do. I gotta be somewhere that's
uh,
not here."
Rick and Morty couch, Rick and Morty shower. That's the thing is, I mean, they're taking advantage of the opportunity because it's there. I mean, Rick and
Yeah.
Morty is everywhere, and there's a lot of crossover with the demographics that are watching All Elite. So
Well, I wanna pose this to you. So we've seen Rick and Morty being promoted now on AEW. If Adult Swim were to turn around and do the same thing for AEW, even once, we have the potential to have a Szechuan sauce level of popularity for AEW from people who don't even like wrestling. And it would be that easy. All they have to do is just make a couple jokes about pro wrestling and then show an AEW commercial where Rick and Morty are talking about it. Like, and
yeah,
again, that's all it would take because they've gotten, I hate to use the wrestling term for a cartoon, but they've gotten over some pretty silly shit, including a sauce
Szechuan
that
sauce.
McDonald's served for like 2 months back in 1995.
You're exactly right. I didn't even think of that either because it's kind of the reverse. So All Elite Wrestling and BTE by extension, they get over whatever they want to get over. They pick, Barry the Bear, Nick doing the merch freak. They basically pick what they want to get over and make it into a T-shirt, and we buy it because we're huge fans.
Yeah.
Um, that's the same exact Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty does the same exact thing. So if
Yeah, everything
you
is merch,
if
dude.
yeah, everything is merch. So if they technically did something like that, be pretty smart. It'd be pretty smart. I'd be trying to do it if I was AEW. I mean, it's like, we gave you a little bit, hook us up now and let us have your viewers, focus on what we do. So
Yeah,
I'd
and
be, I'd be down for that. Be
I think
super down for
it's a
that.
brilliant idea.
Put Chris Jericho in an episode. Hell, I don't care.
Oh my god,
Alternate.
yes, please.
I mean,
Even
might as
even if he
well.
just voices a character. I mean,
Exactly.
he's fucking Chris Jericho at this point. He's doing literally whatever he wants. Please let him do
Yep.
an episode. I'm gonna just clip this part and just send it to Jericho. He needs to know. But yeah, so again, not a whole lot going on here. Best friends hit the strong zero on good old John Silver. They get the pin 1, 2, 3. Pretty like fan servicey match.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
in a good way. They kept it short so that it didn't get boring. They hit all the special points, the things that made it feel fun, and then just got it over with. I like that.
Yep.
I'm glad they kept it exactly the way they did. Wouldn't change a thing about the Rick and Morty crossover. Next up, we get the contract signing segment between Jericho and Cody. Jericho is out first, looking every bit the rock star that he freaking is. Dude, he's so good with like these heel appearances. He came out and he kind of reminded me of a rock star version of Evolution Triple H, like the clean shaven face. He's got like the glasses on and the jacket. The jacket is extra douchey because it's like purple with pumpkins on it.
Yeah. Jack-o'-lanterns.
I made a tweet that he was a fan of David S. Pumpkins, and I was thinking like, dude, I'm so clever. Nobody else made this connection. As soon as I hit the send button, my feed floods with like all the gifs of David S. Pumpkin and people making jokes about it. I'm like, God damn it, internet,
That was
wrestling
actually
Twitter.
that was my first thought as well. When he came out on the stage, I was like, David S. Pumpkin?
Dude,
But yeah.
there's no original thought left. Like there's, especially not in wrestling Twitter, man. I gotta get over myself there. But I thought about it and I was like, dude, that's so funny. I'm brilliant. And of course, wrestling Twitter brought me right back down. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. But it was a really well done segment. Somebody pointed it out. I think it was Wrestling DDT that pointed out that this is the first time in a very long time on like mainstream TV that we've seen a contract signing where the two people signing the contract didn't get into any sort of altercation. And I think that made the angle better. Instead, we got a sort of a battle of words. At one point, Jericho stands up real quick, and Cody jumps up in retaliation, thinking he's got to defend himself, and Jericho just laughs it off. He picks up the microphone, gets a really loud, like, "You suck" chant. And Jericho, of course, being who he is, plays it off. He says, keep chanting, I can do this all night. And then he... and this is... I made a small, like, allusion to this earlier, but he says, I don't suck. Schiavone sucks. And I really like that, and I like that he's taking jabs at him, because if Tony's going to be biased, why shouldn't Jericho take jabs at him?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really nice touch. And then, of course, we get some hype about how it's the biggest match of Cody's career. That's debatable, but I could see where the argument would come from. Cody has had a Wrestle Kingdom match against Kota Ibushi that was out of this world. Absolutely insane. He's also defended the ROH title. He's been in multiple WrestleMania matches. So I do think that this is a huge match for him. But match of his career, I don't know. Now, at the same time, this is his company. It is on mainstream cable television, and it is for the world title. So, it definitely has its merits.
I'll tell you one thing I liked. I liked the Jericho with his pin where he's doing the
the list thing. Yeah.
I love that. I loved it. And the fact that he can do it with a straight face is just perfect.
Dude, he's a genius. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it was like last week when he was like, "Who wears a sweater or who wears a scarf? What kind of idiot wears a scarf?" And of course, the whole crowd lost it. Same thing here. He's so good at being a heel, but still like getting the crowd to feed off of every single
Yeah,
thing that he does. Um, and there's not many people in the business who can do it the way that Jericho does it.
it's true.
So good. Um, man. But yeah, the listing was a nice touch, dude. And he knows what he's doing. Same
Yeah,
thing with the "We the People" chant. I mean, he's done it basically every episode. He makes sure to draw them in with everything that he does and make those little those snide remarks or those throwbacks to the way that he used to be in some way. Uh, of course, we do get the handshake, making everything official, and then of course it cuts over to the parking lot scene. We've got Sammy Guevara doing the selfie pose, dude. Uh, Vlogging Dustin Rhodes getting his ass whooped by Jake Hager.
yeah,
I thought that was a really nice touch because Sammy Guevara was also vlogging in the ring before his Page match. So this is something that he does, but it feels very inner circle. Like, hey, we're doing this. We're gonna get away with it, and now we're gonna film it because we can. What are you gonna do about it? So we get a nice little scrap between Hager and Dustin. Hager does end up dumping Dustin on his face on the car. Not the best
slam.
looking thing, but not bad
Yeah,
either.
that slamming his arm in the car door looked pretty good though.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to fake that. You just gotta slam the arm
Yeah,
in the car door. But I really like that. I do like that we get Cody running out, and then of course MJF runs out with him as well. Um, because even though MJF does not like Dustin, openly talks about how he hates Dustin, um, he is a big fan of Cody, so he comes out and helps. And then of course Jericho with um, like the ultimate like heel move after all the bad stuff has been done. He hasn't had to get any blood on his own hands, figuratively. Um, he's standing there shouting at Cody, "Hey, you should get him to a hospital. He looks hurt." And he lights up the cigar and just sitting there smoking it between yelling things at him. Um,
yep.
Even yells "Happy Halloween," and it's such a dick move when he does it. Uh, Dude, I said it last week. I said it the week before. I'll say it again this week. These segments with Cody and Chris Jericho are making these shows. The shows are good on their own, but I like that
Hmm.
we don't get a whole lot of backstage segments, and I like the ones that we do are creating this blood feud between Cody and Jericho. Jericho
I
is
agree.
making things very personal because he does not want to lose this belt, and he's trying to make it go to Cody's head, and it's very much working. Um, and it's entertaining as hell to watch. We
Yep.
talked last week about how my favorite part of the show wasn't a match; it was a segment. I kind of have to go with this one again, dude. I definitely think that this was my favorite part of the entire show. And that's crazy to say when we have a title or the inaugural tag title match between
Yeah,
Pentagon or Lucha Bros and SCU. Like, it's that good to me.
they're definitely doing a good job of building the story, and I'm excited to see how they do it, especially with announcing the contract being that they're gonna have three judges in case it goes over 60 minutes, so that there won't be a draw, there won't be some kind of false finish. Um, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Please, AEW. Please, 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 please do not announce this rule right now and then make this match a draw.
Yeah,
Don't let them go the 60-minute time limit the first time you announce this. Don't show your hand right away. Give it some time and then use it when nobody's expecting it. But make
yeah,
this a staple, otherwise it's not important. It just seems silly. It's Hell in a Cell, where they tweeted out, "How do you think this is gonna end?" And the third option was DQ, and everyone said, "Can't end in a DQ. It's Hell in a Cell." Um,
yeah.
you're better than that. Please don't do this to us. Um,
Yeah, I could see it's like I was telling you today. I could definitely see this being sort of becoming a precedent for like bigger matches, especially because like I told you, I don't see Jericho going 60 minutes. I just don't see that happening. I don't really see Cody doing that either. But Kenny Omega, uh
Jericho went
Hangman.
almost 60 with Omega though, didn't he? At their first Wrestle Kingdom match. I mean, that was pretty long.
I mean, they went probably over 40. But was it a really really good wrestling match?
I mean, it was a good match, but they also like it didn't have
there
all the
was
rules that a world title match is gonna have.
yeah, and there was also like you know as well as I do that in New Japan you can stay outside the ring for as long as you want.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
going to
true.
count you out.
That's
So Jericho
super
was out.
slow 20 count.
Yeah, so Jericho was out there. I mean, he drove him through the table. That probably took like 8 minutes, just him out there like taunting the fans. So I could see this being a thing where they pull it out in situations where these are high profile matches are important, and definitely in the case of somebody that is capable of going a full 60-minute time limit.
Yeah, when
Um,
we get
so
Hangman versus Pac 3, we'll get a 60-minute time limit drop.
yeah, like I mean, I'm excited to see how they implement it, and if like you said, as long as they don't make it happen too early, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Again, it's me worrying because of the wrestling I've been forced to watch up until AEW. I know they're not like
I
this, but I still have like that fear in the back of my mind. Like, please don't do this,
Nah, I'm right there with you.
man. But cool. So after the segment there, we do move on to Hybrid 2 and Kip Sabian versus the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Um, Kenny's entrance. I don't know.
That that's my. I was gonna say. You talk about like moment of the night. That was my pop of the night because you had the preview where it talked about everyone's left you and shows the shadow of Kota Ibushi,
Yes, dude, with the
and I,
trophy.
oh my god, dude, I marked out big time. Like
That was awesome. That was very cool.
I loved it. I love the intro. I love the Megalomania. I think it's the name of that song.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
the
man.
Toby Fox song. That song. If that song doesn't get you like hype, there's something wrong with you. The intro, the costume, loved it. Ate it up. Didn't care about the match. I mean, well, the match was what it was, but
Yeah.
it was all. It was that was what sold me on it. I love it.
Did
I
you?
love. No, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Finish.
I was gonna say I love that Omega loves uh dressing up and the costumes and
Me too.
Halloween and horror. Like I love that he likes it that much that he wants to take the time to do that because coming from somebody that appreciates that Halloween is their favorite holiday, that makes me happy to see that.
It's just cool to to see the interests of wrestlers outside of just wrestling. If they're
Yeah,
only ever coming in their attire, they're not like doing these tributes to things they enjoy. We really don't learn a whole lot about them outside of them being a wrestler, and it does make it harder for people to relate. I think part of Kenny Omega's charm is the fact that he is such an avid gamer. You know, he goes to these tournaments and legitimately competes in them. He does these competitions with Xavier Woods, and he's got a lot going on. He's creating his own following even outside of wrestling, and I think that's worked for him a lot. So for him to choose a game that's as loved as Undertale is and come out as Sans, which, dude, I'm really glad he wore the mask too. I thought he was just gonna have the attire, but the mask with the one lit eye was, dude, perfect. I loved it. I agree with you. I think the song is Megalovania.
okay.
Um, Something like that. I personally have not played through all of Undertale, but I've seen a lot of it played, and I've listened to a lot of the music because it's really good. But as soon as it started playing, I was like, "Oh, dude, he's coming out of Sans," and I'm really glad he did not disappoint. As you said, dude, the intro was great. I liked how it was like, and eventually they'll all leave you too. Um, and then of course you get the turn in the video where it's like, "No, we'll be by your side," and then he comes out. Um, Dude, that was all incredible. Young Bucks donned their Street Fighter gear again that they wore at Fighter Fest. Or yeah, Fighter
Yeah.
Fest. So that was really cool. The match was solid, dude. There's a ton of really good talent. I know that you and Jonko are not big fans of Hybrid 2. I'm not the biggest fan of Hybrid 2, but one thing I will say for both of the for both Jack Evans and Angelico, they can sell like crazy. When they take a
That's
move,
true.
they take it so well. When Omega hit the one-winged angel on him, dude, it was
Yeah,
one fluid motion with him, dude. He was up and then he was down. Um,
it did look really good. Yeah, yeah. When he hit it, I was like, well, he's dead. So
yeah, dude. But he just landed so well. Made it look like wow, that's a devastating move.
yeah,
Same thing with the V trigger, dude. When he got hit with the V trigger, the only other person I think I've seen sell it better is when he hit it through the ropes on Joey Janela, and Joey Janela just like basically flatlined on the rope. He looked like he had died.
yeah,
Um, but a lot of good stuff there, a lot of typical Young Buck stuff. And then, of course, Sabian is looking great throughout the match as well. Um, Kip Sabian is going to be a star too. I want to see him in more singles matches on AEW TV because we haven't really gotten a lot of him up to this point. I think right now they're trying to focus on guys like Darby Allin, but if Darby Allin is just going to keep showing up and beating guys like Jimmy Havoc, then I think we can get Sabian in there to get some pins on Jimmy Havoc also.
yeah,
I hate that Jimmy Havoc has to fall by the wayside, but again, not everybody can be winners all the time. You can rebuild those guys. Say, hey, I was in a funk, but I'm coming out of it now. I'm gonna prove that I'm great, and then bring them up. Um,
yeah,
but Sabian is too good um, to just be like doing these almost like sideshow matches. And I hate to call it that, but when you partner with a tag team that has lost every single tag team match they've had against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, you're losing that match. You're
yeah.
not winning. Um, so, of course, spoilers based on what I just said. Young Bucks and Kenny did win. Kenny pins Jack Evans with the one winged angel. Um, Again, it was a cool match. Nothing super exciting here. We had talked a little bit before going live. This definitely seems like they are sort of programming to go along with the fact that the World Series Game 7 was tonight. That there was I think it's the Celtics versus the Bucks tonight in NBA. There's a lot of stuff going on tonight, sports wise. And I think
Yeah.
they knew that and they planned accordingly. So it was a good show, but it wasn't a terribly exciting show. There wasn't a whole lot of new stuff happening. Um, I think they knew like, hey, let's save this for the go home show, where there's less shit going on and there's gonna be more people watching.
Yeah, and I can get on board with that. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now, if next week isn't better, then I'll be worried. Um,
Yeah,
but at least for this week, I think that's definitely what we got. Um, of course, after the match, Young Bucks are out there doing the fan shtick. They're high fiving people. They go up and high five a couple of people in Rick and Morty masks, and they get their ass kicked for it. It's Santana and Ortiz. They give them the beat down again. Omega comes for the save. They run off. Uh, Again, I like that they're doing hype for these, and even little things like this. It doesn't take a lot of time. It was like 30 seconds, and it was so impactful. Like, hey, they're out for blood. They don't care what you're doing. They're gonna show up everywhere, and they're gonna kick the crap out of you.
yeah.
I I really like this really aggressive side of Santana and Ortiz that we're getting in AEW, and I hope that continues. Um,
I'm terrified of them. So like
yeah, the tongue thing, dude.
dude, I like walk into the kitchen to get a drink. I'm like looking like I think he's gonna show up and be like, "We're the best. We're the best. We're the best."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, you're the best. Just get out of my house."
Take whatever you want. Please don't powerbomb me through my kitchen table. Oh God, don't you hate it when that happens when Santana and Ortiz show up and just kick the shit out of you in your own home?
I want to see that now. Actually, I want to see them break into people's homes and just.
They just show up at the Young Bucks house and like beat them up in front of their kids. God, dude, that's
I
some
would.
WWE
Wow.
shit.
Yeah, it is.
Man. Speaking of people getting beat up, next we have Peter Avalon out, and he starts to talk. Doesn't get a whole lot out. He gets a couple of like cheap heat moments, and then of course John Moxley comes out and nails him with a DDT immediately, and then Moxley proceeds to cut the most fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji promo that he's cut in AEW so far.
Chef Kiss.
Yeah.
Man, dude, it was so. this was his first promo. This was his first promo on TV, right? Yeah,
I
I
want to say
think.
he's cut another promo, but again, they weren't like this.
He's done backstage. He's done a couple like backstage promos after like Double or Not. So he did one after Double or Nothing, I think. But this was the first one where I was like, "Oh shit," because I was like, this one was the first one to me where I'm like, this is what he wanted to be in WWE. This is all he wanted was to
Yeah,
come out and do this. It's not overly complicated. He's not playing this big crazy character or anything. He's just out there doing what he does best. What he said he does best and
yeah,
prefers to do is just talk. Just give him a mic, send him out there and let him talk. And that's exactly what it felt like to me. And that's what Bully Ray, I saw Bully Ray tweeted and said, that John Moxley promo was so scripted. Not. And I
yeah.
was like,
I didn't see the
it
tweet, so
was,
for a second I was like, "Whoa, Bully's fucking wrong."
yeah, no, I mean, and that was, you get him talking about the fact that, because they led with that on the intro that it's going to be an unsanctioned match again,
Yeah,
which I think is really good the way they're approaching this because I don't want an unsanctioned match. Nobody does. I think like we don't want them to do too
we
many
want the
because
win to
we're going to
count.
get we want the
Yeah,
win to count. Like we're going to get tired of it if they keep doing it. And it's perfect because Moxley's there with us. He's saying, I want it to count as well. You're making me into this, trying to put me back in this box that
yeah, like
everybody
this
else.
hardcore box. Yeah,
Yeah, this hardcore is all I can do. He's like, no, I want to beat him straight up. I want to end the dream that is Kenny Omega, the best wrestler in the world. And I'm just sitting there eating this promo up.
dude, it's awesome. And
I love it.
I couldn't agree with you more, dude. I love the fact that he's saying, "Hey, this is bullshit. I didn't want this. I wanted a real match because I wanted to count. I want the win on my record because I'm trying to be a champion here. And
Yeah,
now you're trying to protect your boy by making it unsanctioned. So when I beat him, it doesn't count." Dude, he is going all out. He's calling out the fact that Kenny Omega isn't EVP, and that's why they're trying to protect him.
yeah,
Even in the segment they did at the very start of the show, well, technically before the show, where he goes into
yeah,
Tony's office, he says, "So this doesn't count. You're gonna protect your boy." He said, "Okay, Tony. Well, I'm gonna. I just want you to know that Kenny's blood is on your hands. You did this, and
yeah.
it's your fault." Um,
And it leads me to believe, he's saying, I'm going to beat him within an inch of his life. What happens next is on you. It leads me to believe that we're going to get it's going to be a pretty violent match, and we're gonna get some color.
dude, a
I'm thinking
lot.
Kenny bleeds.
I'm thinking they
Um,
both bleed in this match.
and I'm totally okay with that because I feel like you're gonna do another unsanctioned match. Probably gonna be the last one for a while for that reason of they don't want to become you don't want to do too many. Um, so let's have one big bad one, to settle the score for a little bit.
Yeah, and then I hope they get an actual match. I even want it next night. Give them an actual match where the win counts. Doesn't matter who wins, but give them an actual win that freaking counts.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, like as cool as this is gonna be, it still does feel like nepotism. Um, but I don't know, man. I really want either Pac or Moxley to be the next runner at the title, regardless of who has it. So we'll see how that works out. At least Pac's match isn't unsanctioned, so if he does end up beating Hangman again, it does count. Um, Either way, dude, Full Gear is gonna be insane. Cannot wait. Um, we got one more match to get through, and then we'll talk for just a brief moment about Full Gear because that is coming up real soon. Um, but last, but certainly not least, dude, this match was super good. Had a great time watching it. But how could we not? SCU versus the Lucha Bros for the AEW Tag Team titles. First ever AEW Tag Team Champions. Um, Dude, really nice touch at the start of this match where they're showing like all the other tag teams sitting down to watch it. They're like, "Hey, we want to see who wins because we need to. We're also trying to get to these tag titles."
yeah,
Sometimes when they do those segments, it could come across as cheesy, but they literally it showed them sit down. There was no like stupid dialogue of like, "Hey, who you got? Who you think's gonna win this?" or like, we got whoever's next, or like none of the dumb stuff. Literally just like almost like paying respect. Like, hey, we're gonna sit down and watch this because no matter how we
Yeah.
feel about them, this is important.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really really good touch. Um, and then of course I may have missed it, but when they came back from commercial, they were already in the ring, right? There was no entrances or anything for this match. I,
I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were just in the ring. I don't think
okay,
they did a full entrance.
cool. Yeah, I
It.
wasn't sure because again, I just adopted a dog, so I had to like take care of her real quick. But I came back in and they were already in the ring, and I like that for
Yeah.
important matches. It's the same thing for when they started the show last week. Everybody's in the
Yeah.
ring already; they're ready to go. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. For this match, what do you got?
Great match. Like I said, I think I said last week or maybe the week before last. SCU with Kazarian and Sky. I love it. They move. I think in this, especially in this match, you were able to see just how quickly they can move and keep up with teams you may not expect. You had the spot. That's when I texted you during when Phoenix did the little hop jump thing on the rope on the
Ran the
second
rope
rope,
and kicked the
which
shit out of
he's
Kaz.
I don't even understand. Like he's done something each week, but that for me that was just next level. Once again, I'm like I don't understand why your balance is this good.
He's a puma,
Um,
dude. He's a jaguar. He's some kind of jungle cat that just has
he's
perfect
a jungle
balance.
cat. It was but as we talked about, I thought the Lucha Bros were going over. Um, just a good solid match. Wanted it maybe give it a little more time. That was one of the things I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think we probably when it's all said and done, it's probably about a 16-minute match, and I think we had a commercial in the middle of it. So that's maybe a rematch of if they do that, maybe like 20, 22, 25 minutes, maybe even. That's probably my only critique of it though, is that it just felt a little too rushed, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it still told the story they were trying to tell.
Yeah. And I think to your credit, I do agree that the match felt a little short. And again, the whole like Willie Nelson story thing, they could have just cut that, gave the time to this match, made it a nice like round 20 minutes, and it would have felt a lot less rushed. But at the same time, with the roll up finish, I think the longer the match goes, the less like surprise the roll up is.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe
agree.
I
I
don't know.
agree
I
with
can
that.
see it both ways. A couple of shout outs I do want to give. One, Excalibur, very on point, talking about how his in ring career is over, but when he was in the ring, he's been in the ring with both Scorpio Sky and Kaz, and that both of them are faster now than they've ever been.
Yep.
Um, really good shout out. Makes them sound really legit. Like they've stepped their game up to be here in AEW.
Yep.
Dude, love that. Love the call. And then of course, this is a subtle thing, but for those of you who watch enough of these episodes, you'll find out I do like really subtle little things that people do. The little things you do in a match that make the match like it makes you seem like you're a really smart wrestler. And in this match, it was Kaz went for the pinfall on Phoenix. Pentagon came in to kick Kaz. Kaz sees it, lifts Phoenix up. Pentagon kicks Phoenix right in the back of the head. It was a little thing, but I feel like it added so much to me, dude. For me, like it makes Kaz look brilliant. It
Yeah.
makes it look like he does have a Lucha Bros number. And not only that, but like it kind of threw off Pentagon. Like when Pentagon did it, he was like,
Yeah.
and it was just a really nice moment. It didn't last long. Again, it was a little thing. Probably wouldn't have changed the match at all if it wasn't there. But those little things do so much for me because it shows um, how good these veterans of the ring are. That they've been there long enough to know when to do these subtle little things. Because you don't plan that. You're not like, hey, after I do the second pinfall, I'm gonna lift his head and you're gonna kick him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
You just gotta do it. And then you kind of react in the moment, and we saw three veterans react in that moment, and all three of them played it off so perfectly. Loved it.
Yep.
Yep. Of course, we get the end of the match. Scorpio Sky gets a nice little roll up there, the inside cradle, and shock victory. That's the best way I can say it. Shock victory. SCU are the new tag champions. Insane, man.
Where do we go from here? I think it'll be interesting to see if they use this as well to establish the Freebird rule, or if I know that Christopher Daniels was, prior to even having his last run with Ring of Honor and prior to even getting into All Elite, he was actually wanting to completely like start getting out of the actual wrestling and just more so work behind the scenes. So to me, it'll be interesting if they kind of continue to milk the injury in order just to like, distance him, or if they just straight up bring him back and do the, the Freebird role. Either way, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. Whatever.
Yeah, with
but
or
I
without him,
definitely,
SCU was great, so no problem there.
yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Killer episode. I kind of hope that we get a rematch of this at Full Gear, since we still don't have a lot of matches on the card. I think defending the tag titles in some capacity could be really cool. But the main thing I want to hit on Full Gear is predictions episode coming very soon. So keep an eye out for that, guys. We'll have to get some time with Jonko. Jonko does move into his house soon, but I want to make sure we can get a predictions video out there. And before the predictions video comes out, I'm going to record my punishment for the last pay-per-view, which it means that I have to sing Stephanie McMahon's theme song as karaoke. So yay!
I don't know, man.
It's gonna be a struggle.
I kind of feel like he could have made it so much worse, though. I think he picked like the first. Don't get me wrong, the Stephanie theme song is awful, but I think there's some bad songs out there.
Yeah, but I'll get that punishment recorded. Really hoping to not lose this one, because I've lost both of the previous ones that we've done. The first one I had to get insanely drunk thanks to them just calling all of the Undertaker's nicknames out during a tag match. And then this one I've got to do karaoke for Stephanie McMahon's theme song. And John Cole is holding the belt. He's holding the Smarky Way title, dude. I've got to get it back. I have to get it back. Because, I'm CM Junk for Halloween, so I gotta be a champion also. The longest reigning of all time. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to subscribe. Help us get to 100. That way we can get that sick custom URL. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and let us know below what you thought of the show. Let's chat about it. We do also have our Patreon set up now. Even $1 gets you into our exclusive Discord. That way you can chat with us about wrestling all the time. We are active in there. That's all we want to do is just talk wrestling. That's why we made this show. That's why we created this the Smark Week product. That's the whole reason that we are here, is to talk wrestling. So come chat wrestling with us.
Come join the Smark Week family.
And that helps us to do other things. Once we get enough Smark Week pledges, we are going to start doing things like Let's Plays. We may even have to pick up a copy of 2K20.
Oh, dude. We need to do that anyway. Oh, yes.
And then, of course, we're going to start doing retro reviews for older pay-per-views, and you guys will help us get to choose those. So make sure to check that out. The link is below, along with our Twitter. Make sure to follow us there. But that is it for this week's review for Smark Week. I'm Chase.
I'm Ethan.
And we'll see you next time.